This is the iRacers Lounge podcast, your source for everything iRacing, including race reviews, driver interviews, opinions, discussions, and much more. Here's your host, Mike Ellis.
Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters: Chewy Side 55, Carlos Fonseca, Jose Pabon, Kyle Fleischman, Lance Gentles, and special guest Chris Grandal. Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing great, and yourself?
Hey, pretty good. So let's start off with Chris. Thanks for joining us today. When we have somebody on for the first time, we like to ask you a few questions and learn a little bit about your iRacing. Sounds like you're a dad. I hear a baby back there.
Yeah, they're getting ready to head out to the store. Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. So tell us about, when did you start on iRacing and how did you hear about it?
You know, I'm pretty new to iRacing. I started November last year, so I haven't even been on it a year. I first saw it actually at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. I was out in Charlotte for a sales conference and saw it there and thought how cool it was, and got home and got myself all set up.
Well, nice. So they have a permanent fixture there with a rig that you can jump in and race, or it was something like that you saw?
Yeah, they've got actually kind of shells of, I'll bet you 8 or 10 cars that are all hooked into some kind of a private server that iRacing set up for them. And you have like 20 guys all driving at the same time. And it was just a really cool setup. Nothing fancy like some of the iRacers have, but definitely showed me what iRacing was and got to see kind of how realistic it is, and started looking at it from there. It was real neat.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The series that my team runs, the NASCAR iRacing series, is actually sanctioned by NASCAR. They're the real NASCAR. So it's neat that they promote us in our sport in their Hall of Fame. I think that's pretty cool. I didn't know that. So very cool. How often do you race? Are you a daily racer? You race once a week or what?
I actually mostly spot. I do a lot of spotting for Eric Grilli. He's one of the other co-founders of our team, and we started out running kind of a lot of the A Open, NIS type stuff, and now we're kind of just focusing on more of the league type fun racing. But spot for him once a week and try to drive once a week. It's probably more like once or twice a month is all that I actually drive these days, but have a lot of fun with the spotting.
Yeah, spotting is fun. Now tell me, what kind of camera do you use typically when you're spotting?
I actually use about 3 different cameras. I start out with the far chase camera, and I'll zoom that way back and kind of tilt it up a little bit. If you get a chance to play around with those controls, it's amazing what you can do with those cameras.
Which is Control F12 and then use the W, A, S, and D key to move the camera around. Exactly.
And sometimes I'll even open up the menu. There's all kinds of different options inside there as far as field of view and zooming in and out and stuff like that. So that's kind of one of the main cameras I use. And then I also use the chopper cam, and I'll kind of set that one up. Again, I'll zoom it way back so I get a really wide view of the track and kind of angle it to the left of my driver on an oval track, of course, and then way down. And what I like about that view, and actually Evan Roush was on, he's one of the president of Blown Gasket Racing, which is a team I started with. He showed me that camera, and it's great because at most tracks, you can actually see the entire next straightaway when your driver is in the corner. So it gives you a really good view and makes it really easy to clear your driver, especially get him out of a wreck.
Nice. Do you ever have any problems with lag, or you feel like you're saying, door, bumper, clear, but it's not real time for him, the driver?
We've never had too many issues with that. I've always had a pretty good internet connection. I'm a console gamer too. So much to my wife's chagrin, we've always had a higher internet connection than what Comcast might normally give you.
Right. All right, cool. So you mentioned you do a lot of league stuff, and I was looking at your stats. There's not much to show here because you haven't done a lot of official racing, is what it appears.
Right.
But, so tell us about that league stuff a little bit. What is it you're doing there?
Wednesday nights we run the Xfinity car in a league called Southern Motorsports, and we've had a lot of fun with that. They're doing a kind of a different format. They kind of stole the idea of NASCAR's chase format and have adopted that. And my driver Eric and I got off to a real good start in that. They did a exhibition race or a preseason race in that we won at I think it was at Texas. And then we've won one other race in that league already, so we're pretty well locked into the chase in that, and really excited. It's a good league. They get pretty full fields. I think we usually have about 40 cars on Wednesday nights there, and then the occasional Thursday night I'll spot the Cup cars. Again, that same Southern Motorsports League.
Right.
And I'm just working on. If you're looking at my stats, I haven't done a whole lot of official racing, like you said, so I'm working on trying to pull my license up a little bit as well.
Right. All right. And let's talk about your hardware a little bit. How many monitors do you have, and do you use any like third-party software?
Yeah, I run with 2 monitors. Since I'm not driving, I don't feel like I necessarily need triples, although I would like to get into that a little bit more too. But I run 2 monitors, one 27-inch and the other one's like a 22-inch monitor. And when I'm spotting, obviously I have my main view on the bigger screen. On the second screen, I will use either Joel Real Timing, which is a great timing software. They've got a really nice interface, give you a lot of data. Or sim racing apps is kind of one that I've started playing with the last 2 or 3 weeks or so. And that one's really nice. It shows you a nice track map and gives you timing, gives you access to fuel and stuff like that. As a spotter, that one's really nice. Just gives me all kinds of great information I can give my driver.
Now, the sim race app, I haven't tried that yet. That's interesting to hear your feedback on that one. That was one I haven't tried, one of the few. Because I do try almost everything, but I use the Z1 dashboard, which is basically the same thing as a sim race app. It's just obviously different people. And then I can also speak to Joel Real Timing. I absolutely love Joel Real Timing, and it's spelled Joel. And if you search that in the forums, you'll find it. But it's free, and you can. I run it on a 4th monitor below my triples off to the right, kind of behind the gear shift. And you're right, the amount of data that is available there is amazing. Even when you're racing, I love seeing when people are pitting and who's falling through the field and who's moving forward and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's the free version is great. I did buy the paid version. It's not terribly expensive. Joel is updating that thing constantly. And like you said, I actually run it on an Android tablet. It updates great. The tablet screen isn't terribly huge, so it's not taking up a lot of space on my desk. But it's big enough where it's given me plenty of room to see the information I need. And Joel Real Timing does a great job of telling you when people are pitting, how long not only your driver has on the current set of tires or current tank of fuel, but also what all the other drivers on the track have. So I think if you're running that, I think it gives you a huge advantage.
Right. Yeah, I love it. I think everyone should try that. It's kind of like what I would describe as Formula One style timing and scoring. So next up is, are you part of a team? What is the name of the team? And what's your most memorable iRacing moment?
Yeah, actually, Eric Burley, one of the guy that I usually spot for, myself, a gentleman by the name of Cody Creamer, and a gentleman by the name of Eric Spencer. I think in August we started a new team called Lazy Days Racing, and we came from a team that had a focus of getting drivers to the pro level. And I think if there was any team that would do it, I believe those guys will do it. Great team, great group of guys. It was just getting a little too serious for us. We wanted to have something a little more fun. So we started Lazy Days Racing with the hopes of just building a group of guys up that when you're racing, hop in TeamSpeak, and there'll be someone there you can chat with, maybe someone who can spot for you, and just a group of guys to have fun.
Yeah, and you have a website too. I was just looking at lazydaysracing.com.
Yeah, Lazy Days with the Z on the days, but yeah, it's we've had a lot of help from one of our teammates, Skylar, who's put that together for us. We're trying to build it into kind of a destination for iRacing where people can go and ask questions. We've got a classified section on there that we're trying to promote. We're still doing a lot of work on it. We want to get pages for all of our drivers. We've got, I think, 45 drivers that have already kind of come on and are driving with us. And certainly always looking for more people. If you're just looking to have some fun on iRacing, check us out on our website. There's a little contact area there. Get in contact with us, and we'll see if we might be a good fit.
Okay, and just clarify, is it a team? Is it a league? Is it both?
It's a team. We're a team. Basically just kind of a social club for people iRacing. We don't have a whole lot of requirements as far as you have to run this series or that series or a certain number of races or anything like that. Just trying to keep it real fun, nice and low-key.
Is there a series that a majority of your team runs, like NIS or?
It's kind of a mix. We've got, I'd say probably 25% of the guys are running NIS, another 25% run exclusively leagues. We also have a bunch of newer guys that are kind of working their way up through even the rookie series that we're trying to kind of teach the game or the sport of iRacing to, and kind of show them the ropes. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, first of all, I got to say it's interesting that you're mostly spotter, part-time driver. In our team, we could never find spotters because everybody just wants to drive, you know. Well, why would I spot for him when I can be in the race too and drive my own car? And that was always the reason I could never get a spotter. And if today, I mean, I would love to have a human spotter as long as they were good at what they did and they, knew what they were doing. I would love it, but I haven't found anybody that's willing to do that. It's interesting that you're willing to do that, at least. So you're having fun doing it, obviously.
Oh yeah, it's a great time. I've got a couple of drivers that I just mesh really well with. It's kind of like just hanging out at the racetrack as friends. Eric Brilli and I we might even have 100 races under our belt together. And I wanted to get into spotting because I am so new to iRacing, and I never raced real cars. I didn't do late models, sprints, anything like that. So really very new to racing myself as a whole. Big NASCAR fan. I followed that for a long time and actually listened to Dale Jr. and his spotter TJ Majors on RaceView. And that kind of got me, hey, maybe I could spot and use it as a learning tool. And I think it's great, especially for someone who's new to it, to learn from. I can watch kind of the lines my driver is taking, get a feel for braking points, get a feel for how to make a good pass, a clean pass, because that's something that's important to me is being a clean racer. I don't want to go out on the track and wreck everyone to get a win or wreck everyone just to finish a race.
Are you crew chiefing? Like, are you telling him when to pit? Or are you the one, making calls like that? Or
yeah, I don't try to force what I'm thinking on my driver. I'll certainly do whatever it is they want to do, but I have all that data in front of me using Joel Real Timing and iRacing or sim racing apps. So I feel like I can help them make a really good, really informed decision about what the best course of action is throughout a race. And watching Joel Real Timing, being able to see how long somebody's in the pits, you can get a really good feel for if they took 2 tires or 4 tires. Get a really good idea from a field strategy standpoint of how much fuel you have left. So it does make it real easy to kind of take over that crew chief role for your driver too.
Right. And I guess let's go to the final question here. What style do you think you have? I mean, you got Joey Meyer, who's a spotter for Brad Keselowski. He'll give, 3/10 out front, 4/10 out back every lap. He'll tell his driver stuff like that, where, what's the gap? Or you got TJ who's very technical. I heard you mention him earlier. Who do you
Yeah.
think style you got?
I'd love to say I'm pretty similar to TJ. I think he's one of the best spotters in the sport. I'm a big Hendricks fan, so I do kind of alternate between the 88 team, 24, 48, 5 team, listening to their radios. I do listen to like Kansas radio a little bit, but I seem to gravitate toward TJ Majors in the 88. So the biggest compliment somebody could give me would be saying, "Hey, you're a spotter just like he is." My philosophy is to try and paint the best picture I can for my driver of what's happening alongside of him, behind him, and specifically in front of him, especially to keep him out of a wreck. Obviously, some of these league races, you do get a lot of wrecking, and it can be a huge advantage. Even just missing one wreck can mean the difference from finishing 15th to finishing 3rd, winning the race. So my goal is to just give them a real good picture so that they can almost see what's around their car, even though they can't physically see it.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us. Let's jump into topics. Lance, what's up?
We got the Peak Antifreeze series. Looks like Alfalo won the race and narrowed the point gap to 4 points ahead of PJ Sturgis.
Yeah, they're promoting the race tomorrow. So it's tomorrow night, New Hampshire. 2 races to go and 4-point gap. So $10,000 on the line too.
Oh yeah, I misread that. He did not win the race.
He won the last one. No, pardon me. He did win the last one. He had a good run in the last one, which closed the points gap. But he leads the standings by only 4 going into tomorrow night's race. So just tune in if you catch the podcast tomorrow. It'll be the night of tomorrow, so 9 p.m. Eastern. Kyle,
It should be an interesting race.
Yeah, I'm going to watch.
Next on the docket, the Grand Prix Series finally had another race. They ran at Nürburgring. And Gregor Hutu pulled out the win over Kroenke this week. So still doing the 1-2 battle here. And Mitch de Jong finished 3rd in that race. We've been talking about him quite a bit.
Okay. And Hutu finally breaks through is what I was thinking.
Yep. And for update to the standings, Kroenke's still got a 17-point lead over Hutu in the standings with how many races do they have left? 2?
Yeah, something like that.
Yep.
Okay, and then Kyle, do you want to? We missed one topic. We want to go back to the big event coming up for Cody Kramer.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Cody Kramer is one of the guys who started Lazy Days Racing with myself, Eric Spencer, and Eric Brilli. And in August, he was diagnosed with a form of cancer called Langerhans cell histiocytosis. And it's a really rare cancer, most commonly found in children and infants, believe it or not. And basically, it kind of, the way I understand it is it attacks the white blood cells. And Cody is fighting through that real hard. He actually got some test results back today that the cancer is not in his bone marrow. So that's just an amazing blessing. Everybody on the team has been praying for him, and we were trying to figure out something that we could do to help support Cody. He's going to be out of work for a little bit, and he loves racing, loves iRacing. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the internet right now. Kind of trying to save some money, so he's not on iRacing too much. But we decided we would put together a charity race for him, and he loves road racing, so we were going to do it on a road, but we decided to stick to the oval so we could draw more people. So we're going to host a 300-mile event at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're calling it the Cody Kramer Take a Bite Out of Cancer 300, and we're trying to do something a little unique here. I was hoping to be able to get more people to sign up for the race than just the 40 that you typically have in a race. So we decided to do a 2-day event. Friday night, October 21st, we're going to host two 35-lap heat races at Charlotte. We're going to use the A cars, and we're going to do 60% fuel and fixed setup, keep it competitive for everyone. But so we're going to have the two heat races on Friday night, and those races will determine who gets to race on Saturday night. Now, another little spin that we put on this is we opened up the first 10 spots on the feature race on Saturday are actually reserved for people who pay a little bit higher of a registration fee. So those spots are $25. We actually only have 2 or 3 of those left. So if your listeners are interested, make sure they snap that up real quick. And that's, again, at lazydaysracing.com, days with a Z. And up at the top, there's a button for the race. And then the other spots are just $10. And like I said, our goal is to just raise some money to help Cody out with these medical bills. He's 21 years old, way too young to be fighting cancer, and we just really want to show him the brotherhood that we are at Lazy Days Racing, and show him, hey, we're behind you. We've got you through this, and it was very encouraging, like I said, to get those test results back today. Robert, the owner of Domino's TYJ Racing, he actually sent us a message and said he wanted to match the final 5 people that signed up for that $25 spot. So the 2 remaining spots that we have left, by signing up for $25, you're actually giving us $50 for Cody. So that was just an amazing call to get from him. The people at NPR Setup Analyzer, they make iRacing Setup Analyzer, which from what I hear is just a phenomenal tool for people who are running open setups. Really it sounds like it looks at what you're doing on track and offers setup advice to you. They have given us 2 copies of their Setup Analyzer to give away. So we'll be giving away 2 of those to random finishing positions in the heat races on Friday night. Our team has raised $200 of prize money. So the first place winner of Saturday's feature will get $100. Second place will get $50, and third place will get $25. And then that last $25, we're actually going to kind of do another random drawing for everyone who registers in the race to get $25.
Wow, so quite an event.
Yeah, we're really excited. Registration is going good. We've still got just under a month. We'd love to have more people sign up. There's still plenty of spots available. But like I said, if your listeners want to be guaranteed to start in the top 10 Saturday night, make sure they snap those spots up fast.
Yeah, and iRacing is always a community. There's so many of us, and so glad you guys are doing something for them. That's cool. We have one of our team members who's a regular here on the show, Brad Miller, actually laid up and is not able to iRace. He had a medical procedure, but he's doing just fine, and hope to have Brad back soon.
Yeah, it's tough to watch that happen to one of your teammates.
Yeah, you got to do something, right?
Absolutely.
Well, I commend you guys for putting it together. Go to the website, people, and sign up. Let's move on. The next topic is the NASCAR iRacing Series. Who wants to start? Lance? How'd you do?
Disastrous.
Yeah, it was tough, huh?
Yeah, it's a flat track, and I've never really been very good at, very proficient at flat tracks. I have an issue finding speed, and it showed. And when I found myself in a position that was more towards the front, I got a little hot-headed and put my foot back in the gas a little early and wound up in the wall. So, yeah, that was my week.
Tough. Wow. And Carlos Fonseca is actually not on with us because he's recording and has technical issues due to he upgraded to Windows 10 today on his racing computer. So, go ahead. So far, you're not liking it? Well, since you're talking, tell us about your New Hampshire races. That's what happened to you too? Yeah. There wasn't a lot of participation like normal. It seems like a lot of people stayed away. Well, they don't need to go there twice. All right. I'll go next. I actually got some details here. Wednesday, it was a pretty good run. There were lots of green flag runs. I did stay on the lead lap. It was very much followed the leader. There was no passing going on really in my splits. It was, unless that guy messed up, you're not going to pass him. And it was really, you ended up running what you qualified, it almost felt like. So if you qualified top 10, that's where you ran all day. If you qualified in the back, that's where you stayed all day. That's what I saw. Thursday, I got a 12th. I did get intentionally wrecked under caution, which, boy, when is the last time I've said that? It's been a long time. But sure enough, I got I had a racing incident with some guy, and he didn't like what I had to say, and he came up under the caution, passed about 4 cars, and got to me before, he kind of bumped into me a little bit. It wasn't, that big a deal. I ended up not protesting him. There was another incident in this race, though, I want to talk about. There was a guy... There's a guy named Shane Van Gisbergen. We've talked about him before. He's a real race car driver in the Australia V8 Supercar Series. He's really quick over there, and he's the real deal. But anyway, he races with us on ovals occasionally, and he raced on that race with us, and he was doing, I think, 4th place, final lap. The guy in 5th just went down the back straight, did not break a wall at all. It went straight across the grass and the frontage road there, and ran right into Shane Van Gisbergen and took him out. And it was so intentional, it was ridiculous. Carlos, you saw that replay. When Shane Van Gisbergen got taken out by that intentional wreck. Anyway. Apparently, that guy I'm not going to name him, but he did get protested and banned. And he actually said so on Facebook. So it was well-deserved in my, I don't know what Van Gisbergen did to him. I kind of went back a few laps and looked if they had some kind of incident or something. And nothing that I could see. I was kind of surprised that the guy did it.
Well, that guy's had issues in the past, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, he's a regular, always getting in cautions and whatnot. Friday, I got an 18th, self-spun off 2. Saturday, I self-spun off 2 twice and got a 13th. Saturday was fun because it was top split, and Ray Afala was in there, and he won the race. And there were four pros total, I believe, in that split. So it wasn't easy to run well, and I was pretty proud of that run. Brad Miller actually got a 14th, I think, or something on that race. Sunday, I qualified 7th. And usually when I qualify, I run dead last, or what I call P dead last. Like I'll qualify and I'll be the last one of the qualifiers, usually. But somehow I qualified 7th on Sunday and ran top 10 all day long until I got near the end, like with 30 to go or something, and spun on my own again. So 17th. So I'm done with New Hampshire. I'm ready for anything besides New Hampshire. So bring on Dover. Kyle, how did you do?
Oh, it was a mixed bag. I only ran one fixed race this week, and that was last night. Put the car in 11th to start the race. Ran right around 4th, 5th, 6th, somewhere in there for about the first 60 laps or so. and got tagged by another person I won't name, but he sent me down on the infield on the back stretch and managed to gather it up. No real, just a 4X, no damage or anything. Just, I think it was like 30 seconds optional. And so then the rest of the race was basically trying to play catch up, and with 30 to go, the same gentleman that wrecked me the first time took me out, completely blown motor. So for the Open, I ran that Wednesday night and got a 12th out of it. Struggled to get the car to rotate through the turn, just couldn't get it to rotate at all. Did some tweaking on it, ran it again on Thursday, I believe it was, and pulled a 5th place out. So
Nice.
ready to move on.
Well, that's a good result.
Well, the good thing is still, I believe, 3rd in the fixed standings, and I think 3rd in the Open as well.
Yeah. Keep chopping. We're getting down to the end here. I think 8 to go. So, Jose Pabon, you had a top 10. You told me felt like a win.
Oh yeah, yesterday in the Open, the first Open that I ran, I actually ran very well. I was running top 5, and unfortunately got taken out. Ended up with a P14 on the first attempt of the Open. Yesterday, I wasn't running very well at all. I was running top 15. The best is what I probably could do. But fortunately enough, at the very end, there was incidents that involved several drivers, and I was able to cap a top 10, and I was really happy about that, especially for the split that I was in, and particularly because I was able to reach a goal of 3,000 in my I rating at last.
Finally. And you're running in the same splits as most of the rest of the team. So, congratulations. Good job.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right. On to Dover for the NIS. We'll see how that goes. Lance, what's next?
Well, I had a chance over the past week to sit down with an HTC Vive and give it a go. So I've got some bullet points and a little bit of a review I'd like to give, just based on my initial impressions with the device, and start off with what's in the box. It's a fairly large box. Comes with a couple of laser projectors that they call lighthouses. You have to put up in the corners of your room. Those talk to the IR indicators that are on the or IR receivers that are on the headset. Basically, what they do is they reflect the laser light back to those lighthouses, which communicate back to the headset in your computer, and tell you where the headset and the hand controllers are in space. And I tell you what, it's an amazing experience to put this thing on. It's millimeter accurate.
So you're talking about Oculus Rift style goggles, but it's a different company.
Right. HTC partnered with Valve to develop this headset to compete with the Oculus Rift. So it is completely supported by Steam. Most of the Steam games, or no, I say that's wrong. Most of the games that are for the Vive are through the Steam store.
And iRacing is obviously supported, right?
Yep. So you get the 2 lighthouses, you get the headset, you get 2 hand controllers that are pretty versatile. If they're laying on the floor and you can see them with the headset, and you lean down to pick them up, they're exactly where you would expect them to be.
So you put these goggles on, you can't see anything. It's like you've put on a blindfold, right?
Well, it does have a chaperone system. Whenever you do the initial setup, it guides you through. It guides you through a room measuring deal. You can choose either a standing experience or a room scale experience, where you take the wand and you kind of draw out the perimeter of your room, and it gives you a virtual wall that in inside the headset. So whenever you put it on and you get close to your boundary, it'll throw up a grid in front of your face that tells you, hey, you're close to the wall, back off, buddy.
Nice.
Okay, it's got like I said, it's got the headset, the two controllers. The controllers have triggers on them, so you can use them like pistols in both hands, and the controller or the triggers also used to select items in the menu when you point the handset at it. They've got track pads for control in games where you have freedom of motion, because obviously you can't walk around for great distances in a small space. So when it does want you to move in certain games, you push forward on this trackpad, and it'll have you move, and you can go side to side to turn. I would actually prefer it be a thumbstick, like say a gamepad, but a lot of people like the trackpads. Whenever you actually put the device on for the first time, getting used to it, acclimating to VR space it's pretty intuitive. Depending on the game you're in or the environment you're in. If you have motion sickness, I would say it's not for you. But just a everyday guy with no motion sickness issues, putting this headset on and looking around the room, it's like you're in the room. It's amazing.
Yeah, see, I can't ride a roller coaster, so I think this would not be for me. It would make me sick. My other question is, hand controls, you obviously are not using those when you're racing, right?
That's correct. In a racing experience, they make no difference. You can use them to open menus and select different things, but really that's all outside of the sim. Once you get into iRacing, it's best to have your graphics settings to where your steering wheel is on and your seat adjusted to where the steering wheel is in the position to where you reach out with your hands. It's where it should be, and that really helps with the vertigo issues for people that tend to have.
Because you can have something to anchor on to, almost, right?
Exactly.
Cool.
So whenever you're doing the adjustments, or the adjustments that are available in the headset are the screen distance from your eyes. You can click it out away for, say, somebody that wears glasses or has really long eyelashes. There's an adjustment on the side. You pop out a couple of rings and twist them forward or backwards, and it moves the screen towards or away from your face. It has a little twisty knob on the side to adjust the lenses to the space between your eyes. And there's an actual definitive measurement that you can get for that, and the actual term escapes me right now. But if you go to an optometrist, they'll measure the space between your eyes, and you can set the lenses up for that exact measurement. And it helps take some of the blur and the pixelation effect, which I'll get into a little bit later, away from the screen. It's got a couple of elastic straps, whereas, say, not that this is a comparative review, but the Oculus Rift has more of a rigid rubberized strap. This has elastic straps, so it tends to be nose heavy if you don't get it adjusted just right and get some of the weight put on, borne by the straps that go around and on top of your head. It does have a cable that comes out of the top of the headset and goes on top of the center strap on your head, and I have a Sparco seat on my Abuto rig, and I have that cable fed through one of the harness holes on the up by my shoulders, and it doesn't snag on there. It moves pretty freely, so I don't get my head in a bind whenever I'm moving around and looking around in the sim.
Yeah, and I thought the the one that Microsoft is working on, the goggles they're working on, they're going to do the video wirelessly somehow. It hasn't been released yet, but I mean, would that be a big deal for you? I mean, or was the wire a hindrance at all?
No, I find in a seating position that the wire is not a hindrance at all. I mean, I can see where it could be if you don't have a place to run it like I do.
You need a strain relief on it, is what you're saying.
Right. If you had, say, something like a hook, I've seen a couple of YouTube videos where there's a guy that has a setup and he's got like a suspended elasticized cable from the ceiling that he'll hang that on, and it takes it away from being drug around on the floor.
Good idea. The
Yes.
wire comes up out of it.
Yeah, that would be a problem with battery life, I think, for an extended experience.
How is the thing powered?
It's powered through. There's a USB and HDMI pass-through box that you sit off to the side, and it connects a DC cable, and that passes through to the headset. There's 3 cables that run up to the headset that carry USB. Your sound, there's a sound cable. You can actually connect some earbuds to it. I use my headphones. I just changed the setting to where the sound output is through the headphones, and I use my G35s for all of my audio, because the headset itself does not support surround sound, whereas my G35s do.
And it didn't get in the way of your G35s?
No, I have a pretty big head, so I had to extend them all the way out, and it just barely fits around my ears.
Okay.
So if you've got a head bigger than mine, which is a rarity in this world, my head is huge. It's it's relatively comfortable. You can get it adjusted and get your headset on, and there are headsets that extend further out than the G35s. The G35s are kind of a mid-range headset, low into the high end.
It's heavy though.
It gets weighty. The headset itself, the Vive, the HTC Vive, weighs 555 grams or 1.2 pounds.
That surprised me when I saw that number. I thought it would be less.
1.2 pounds is really not that bad, considering there's a OLED screen inside and all kinds of other components. They managed to cut the weight down significantly. I think they would do better with maybe some lighter composite materials, but that would up the price.
Yeah.
It's got a foam pad around where it sits on your face that's pretty soft and squishy and is really comfortable, but it can get warm over an extended period of time. And if you're a person that has a tendency to sweat a lot, it can cause a little bit of a skin irritation and leave you with like a red ring around your face for a little while.
Now, Jose, you've been talking about getting one of these, but you also sweat like a dog during some of these races. How is that going to work?
I've been thinking about that, and that is really a detriment to me, because I do sweat like a dog, and I mean, it's with the headphones, and I really soak them up. So that's something that I got to consider.
Yeah,
if I
it's going to be
decide
sweating on your face, and
Oh yeah, definitely, and I also asked the question of visual perception, being that I am blind officially through one eye. So that was another question that I had asked Lance about and asked him to test on, which he answered for me. Generally, it would work, but yeah, you're right in regards to my sweating issues. Definitely.
so you don't think it'll work if you're using one eye?
Well, I think it'll work. I don't think it'll be any different than anybody else because of the way I see generally.
Right. Should be this similar to what you're normally used to, right?
Exactly. I do wear glasses, so yeah, the glasses issue was another question that I asked Lance about when it came to the lens and the proximity of the lens to the glasses. Um, I didn't talk about the sweating issue. I didn't realize that aspect of it, but I did think about it. Something, especially the endurance races that I do race for a very long period of time. I do a lot of long distance races when it comes to the NISs, and there are times when I catch myself in a position where it's very tense, and I do tend to sweat on those tense moments. So that is something I have to consider if I do decide to purchase this object.
Well, as it comes, my next point is the long-term comfort. I did 2 full fuel stints in Petite Le Mans this weekend, and I had pretty few issues. But I've got pretty good air conditioning. I got a lot of airflow in this room that I'm in, so it does cut down on the heat that can be generated by the memory foam pad that goes around your face.
But you did okay, and I think if you plan and you got good air, like you said, good air conditioning, maybe you have a fan that's blowing right on your head.
Yeah, for me, that wouldn't even matter because, like I said, so there's days that I go upstairs and I'm soaked. I have to take a complete shower after a race, and I race in a basement that is extremely cool with a fan on me, and it's AC powered. Everything, the house is AC powered, so coolness is in the house. It's just that I, for some reason, tend to sweat a lot when I'm agitated or excited or under pressure.
Yeah, and as you sweat, that's gonna break down the memory foam that's in the pad. It does come with a couple, and you can buy replacements for them. So as they deteriorate and eventually wear out, then you can replace them. They just snap in. It's pretty easy.
A question I didn't ask you, Lance, is if you decide that at one time you don't want to use the VR headset, are you able to switch back and forth between the VR and your triple screens or double screens or a single screen, whichever you have?
I haven't really tested the ability to switch back and forth after a race has started. I'm pretty confident that you cannot after the race has started. When you load into the sim, it gives you a little dialog box and it says it's detected a VR headset and would you like to use it for the race? And you click yes or no, and I think that's it.
Oh, but that's what he means. You have the choice when you start the race. I want to run triples or I want to run the goggles.
Right. At the beginning of the race, that's when you get that option.
Cool.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know. I appreciate that. Thank you.
So at what point do you put the goggles on then? Are you using your computer screens after your computer's booted to actually launch the sim and stuff and then put them on after the sim is launched?
Yeah, that's right. You launch you launch the web browser, the iRacing web browser, and select your race. And then when you go to join session, it gives you that normal little slider box that comes up. And as it's loading that box, that's when it pops up that question: would you like to run VR? What I do at that point then is make sure that yes is selected, and then I put the headset on, and I get into position, my racing position, and then I hit enter and select yes. And I sit there and I wait until the sim starts launching. That way it calibrates your position and the way you're looking is forward.
So you want your seat pulled forward in your normal spot and whatnot, like when you normally are racing.
Yes.
Very good point.
I don't know if that's always 100% necessary, but that's from everything I read, that's what they say to do, and I haven't done a whole lot of testing as to whether or not that's the case, because when it goes out of calibration, you got to do the calibration thing again. It's not really all that complicated. It's just kind of tedious to have to recalibrate the seating position. When you put the headset on, now this varies to some degree based on how far you have the screen away from your face. but the normal field of view inside the headset is 110 degrees. But that's mostly nullified by being able to move your head around and look to the left and right, whereas you don't have that option with screens without a button press or a really sharp angle on your triple screens if you have them.
Do you imagine that in the future goggles will give you a full 180 degrees?
I think so. Once the technology progresses a little bit, and they come out with the curved screen models,
Right.
I think you'll have the 180 degrees, and all your periphery and everything will be pretty spot accurate.
Right.
So yeah, that 110 degrees, it varies a little bit.
That,
like
I mean, that's
said.
quite a bit if you think about it, but
That's more,
not the full, 180, but it's most of it.
It's definitely more than you get with a single screen.
Right.
So when you have the headset on, you do get a little bit of a screen door effect. And if you don't know what a screen door effect is, put your nose up against your monitor and you'll see it. You can see the individual pixels because your eyes are, when you're wearing this, just a couple of inches away from a screen. And as advanced as organic LED screens are, the pixels on them are still not small enough to eliminate that. Now, eventually they will be. There's some new screen technology that's on its way down the road that will pretty well eliminate that because the pixels will be so microscopic you won't be able to differentiate them even millimeters from your face.
But once you get immersed, as you called it, you lose the sight of that, right?
Right. After you spend some time and you start to get acclimated to being in a racing environment or another game, whatever you're playing, those start to you don't notice them because you're focused on what you're doing. One part where that is really apparent is when you're looking at cars that are kind of far away, whereas if I'm sitting here looking at my triple screens, I can tell, say for instance, we're going to be at Dover this week. I can look from the entrance to the entrance to the front straight. I can look down all the way into turn 1 and tell you just by the paint scheme usually who that is up there. I can identify that. Whereas on the Vive, that's not so apparent because of that pixelation. You can tell there's a car up there, but it gets a little distorted because of the sampling isn't high enough to
Basically,
differentiate.
lower resolution, right?
It's high resolution. It's high resolution, but it's right there on your face. So
Right, so it appears as a low resolution almost.
Kinda. It chops some stuff up, and that does get kind of frustrating at some points, but that will only improve with future generations. Requirements to run one: you need a pretty beefy computer with a lot of RAM and a fairly new generation graphics card. At least I'd say a 970. I run a 980 Ti and I get the proper 90 frames per second. I had to turn my anti-aliasing down a little bit to get it just right, but I think if I had a beefier processor and maybe a few more gigs of RAM, I think I could probably run it with the 1080. The 1080 is kind of the gold standard for running these right now. It's the new gen graphics card, and you can push everything at full tilt.
Oh, isn't that what Jose just bought?
Oh yeah, Jose just did.
He's all set up for it, so.
Yep. But you do have to have a fairly beefy computer. Older computers are not going to be able to run this. Older generation processors, you're going to have some frame rate issues, and you're just going to have to turn your graphics down to compensate. So now we get to the sticker shock. How much it costs to buy one of these? It's about $800, maybe a little more with tax. But for $800, you get the headset, you get the 2 hand controllers, you get the 2 lighthouses, all the cables that you need to run it. I think it's worth it, honestly, if you have the money. Like I said, it's not going to be for everybody, especially those with motion sickness issues. But considering triple screens are dependent on how high end you go, you're going to spend at least $600 to $900 on triple screens. Why not put off that upgrade and get yourself one of these? It's an early adoption premium on the price, but having worn one now for about a week, it's going to be awfully tough to go back to 3 screens.
Wow. And you were really liking it during the Petit Le Mans, and kind of saying, boy, just that I don't think I would want to race the road courses anyway, back on the triples.
Yeah, see, that's just, that's my experience with it is, well, with the Riley, or the Daytona prototype C7 Corvette, I could not get a handle on it on my screens. I just couldn't tell where the left-hand side of that car is, and it's just because I'm not used to driving a right-hand drive car. So I was messing up the corners. I was running off on the grass.
I do the same thing.
Yep, it's tough. It's tough to get used to. And when I put on the headset and I could actually look around and I could see the corners of my car, it changed the game. I started running laps that were not high speed laps, not 115s, but I was running I think 117s, low 117s at one point.
Okay, so my question is, compared to Oculus Rift, the competition, I mean, which one is better? This one obviously costs more. And at the end of the day, would you buy it or not buy it?
At the end of the day, right now, I would buy one of these. I would love to get my hands on an Oculus so I could do a comparative review, and I may see about reaching out to them and seeing if they can loan me a unit to test, because I personally don't know anybody at this point that has an Oculus. But yeah, I would definitely like to get a comparative review going on and see how the two perform against each other. As of right now, I'm sold on VR, but the Oculus it does have a lower price point. It's I think $550.
Yeah, compared to 800.
Yeah, but you don't get any hand controls with the Oculus. Those are coming down the road at an additional cost. And instead of the 2 laser tracking stations, the Oculus has 1 IR tracking station.
Right. And I think my point of view, I've never tried VR, but if I was, I would probably be waiting, if I could, for Facebook Oculus to come out with their version 2, because it's going to rock,
Yeah, these are just the entry to the market. They're brand new tech. They're early versions. They're only going to get better, and the price point's going to come down. Now, there's always going to be that high-end market. I was saying earlier, like a curved screen that's going to come out. That's going to be stupid expensive for a while, and then prices are going to come down on that. That's just the way the market works. I think Razer is also. They also have a headset that's out that works on the Open VR, which is what the HTC Vive works on. And I'd like to get my hands on one of those as well and do a comparison against all of them.
Yeah, pretty cool. Definitely a big thing for iRacing, to the way it went from 1 screen to 3, and now to the goggles and the VR. So, cool stuff.
I tell you what, I was really skeptical whenever I first started reading about Oculus Rift and the development kits that people had on Oculus Rift, or just VR in general, as it pertains to iRacing. But I've strapped on this Vive now. I've turned some laps in these cars, and I'm a believer. It's amazing, and it's going to be the future of this type of simulation.
Definitely interesting.
But that's about all I got.
Okay. You got the next topic, too.
I do. iRacing introduced the 1989 GTP ZX Turbo. Carlos apparently has been the only one of us so far that's run this thing. It's a slick-looking car, and I hear it's wicked fast.
Tons of torque. Wow. It's almost like an airplane wing with wheels. I mean, it can't seem to have more downforce. And then you combine that with the power, you can really go through the corners, huh? Hmm. But when you get up to speed, you get an aero grip, right?
I don't know. It was a fun race. I said there was a lot of people spinning just because of the turbo in the car. You know, once you get on the throttle, it just breaks loose out of nowhere, and there's really nothing you can do about it.
The turbo just kicks in at some point, right? And it just takes off. Yeah. Right. Crazy. So you're talking about the new series that iRacing put up just last week called the IMSA Camel GT, right? Yeah. And that's both the new cars, right? Even though they don't really race against each other, you know, one's more of a DP style, right? Right. Now, in one of these videos, they put out those nice videos, and one of them they were showing pictures of the Mazda museum where the car was in it, but I was looking at the other cars that were in the museum around it. One of them was this old Mazda, like 1970s tiny pickup truck. And I was thinking, boy, wouldn't that be cool if iRacing scanned that and we were racing those? But really, it's unlimited. If they start scanning historical race cars, it's unlimited what they can do. I mean, there's so many of them, you know? And then they don't even have to be race cars. Just do regular passenger cars, you know?
Yeah, anything's a race car if you got the
Right.
balls to race it.
We'll scan some lawnmowers, right?
That would be a blast.
Wouldn't it? Let's try it. All right, Kyle, you're next.
They don't lawnmowers, though. They'll have to get rid of the 1X for going off track, won't they?
Right. You're in the grass. Well, that is not.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
All right. Well, next up, the INX racing team put out a video hyping dirt.
Didn't Eden Plash already do this?
Yeah, somebody else already did this, but it's a different team, I guess, who did it. But they just put dirt on one of the little short tracks, and Thompson it is, and
Looks like Oxford.
Oxford, yeah. And then they just kind of, dirt tracked around it. It's a kind of a neat video. And one thing that caught my eye when I watched it was the in-car and how you're looking to the right when the car is going sideways like that to see where you're going. It kind of gives you maybe a little visual of how it might look when dirt comes out. Because when you're in the triple screen situation, that's what I'm saying is, am I going to be looking at the right screen or the center screen?
Probably both.
I think you're going to be kind of looking towards that split.
Right where the bezel
between
is.
See, I think VR guys might have a distinct advantage there.
With the dirt, yeah. Because they don't have a bezel, do they?
Yeah, people are screwed
Because
like
they're going
me
to
with
turn their
one.
head towards the corner, right, Lance?
Right. You can. You've got full range of motion. I ran a couple of races in the Skip Barber car. Holy crap! I mean, there's no bezel there. There's nothing to distract you. You can lean your head over to the side and look at your suspension. It's amazing how much you can see.
And you can see when you're flipping.
There you go.
Well, I haven't had the misfortune to flip in one yet.
Because I wasn't out on track with you.
All right. Next up, David Phillips posted up in the forums. He's an iRacing employee. There's going to be a meetup in real life racing at the Petit Le Mans coming up September 30th, Friday at 3:30 p.m. Kind of a tweet up, get some iRacers together. Glenn McGee, who's been running the Mazda Championship, will be there as well. As long as some iRacing swag, which kind of caught my eye. So if you're going to Road Atlanta on Friday, get involved. Okay. Lance, what happened with Petit Le Mans? You want to tell everyone how we did?
Well, Saturday we did, and we did not. We wound up with a meatball, I think, on the C7, and it didn't display properly, so the C7 got disqualified, and we had a couple of incidents with the GT3 car, and it wound up getting destroyed, and we just couldn't continue. Sunday we tried again. We ran the C7 only. We didn't do the GT3, and we actually had a pretty decent run aside from a few hiccups that put us in a P12 overall. I did the later stints after Dave lost connection to his wheel and couldn't continue, so I took over the car a little bit early and passed it off to Mike, and then I finished the race out.
Yeah. Not a great result for us. I mean, I wrecked once. I spun, had it saved, but then got ran over. 10 minutes repair. But I wasn't the only one. There were other drivers who did similar things. And that's kind of where we ended up in 12th. But
I don't think at the end of the day there were any cars out there with no damage. Those things are they're less endurance and more survival.
oh yeah.
I think all but one car had damage in some way.
And we had some ringers in our race too, didn't we?
Oh yeah, the team that finished P1, they were putting down steady 115s. Every single person that jumped in that car was putting down 115s.
Yep.
And really high I rating as well. So I don't know if they purposely got into a lower split than what they could run, but
I mean, I could have run the 115th if we had a day's set put it in the car, but we kind of forgot to tell Jose to put it on. Put the set in.
And then we didn't have enough fuel in the car either when we started, right?
Oh yeah, that's what initially put us 2 laps down. Was a whole series of things. I don't know if Jose's there, he can tell you about it.
Yeah. It started with I forgot to put a full load of fuel in the car. I ended up starting from the pit. Because of that, I missed the start of the gridding. Then after that, when I exited the pit, I exited too fast, so I got a speeding in the pit. Held for 15 seconds, black flag. Had to come back and pit again. When I exited that penalty, I ended up crossing the line, say unsafe exit. So I got a stop and go black flag. So I had to pit for a third time. This is all in the beginning of the race, the first lap.
Oh, that's a rough start.
Yep, and I was able to bring the car back up to at least a P10 overall before I handed the car to Carlos, but it was not easy. It was very tough going there in the beginning.
Well, lesson learned, right?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Well, it is a warm-up for the big race, Le Mans, which is coming up end of October, 24 hours. Carlos, you're going to be working on the schedule here, right?
Eventually.
So we're going to run a car at least. So, all right, let's move on. I got the next one. Shannon Whitmore, who's an iRacing employee. He posted up on Twitter. He just ran his first race with the Oculus Rift. Pretty darn cool. Immersion factor is great. But I just wanted to point out, the goggle and the VR thing is new even to the iRacing people. I mean, yeah, they support it, but, not a lot of them have experience with it, and they're starting to. It sounds like they got some gear and hardware in there. All right, Kyle, what's up next?
Oh, next up, talk about childhood cancer. And actually, I should probably let Lance talk a little bit more about it because it's his event. You there, Lance?
Yep, I'm here. I've got my main car sponsorship transferred over to Extra Life. And if you've never heard of Extra Life is a charity. It's what it is. It's a 24-hour gaming marathon on Saturday, November 5th. And you can sign up at extra-life.com to be part of a team. I'm currently part of a team that my IT director and my longtime friend runs at my job. All the money raised, the way it works, okay, you pledge to do a 24-hour session playing any kind of game you want, whether it's a video game or a tabletop game or board games, whatever you want to do for 24 hours, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. You pledge to go from 8 o'clock in the morning with basic necessity breaks. I mean, they're not trying to strap you to a chair for 24 hours. You do 24 hours with breaks for food and restroom, and you play a game, any game, for that whole 24 hours. All the money that is pledged to you that you can, they have a pre-formatted response that you can put on your Facebook page. All the money raised by I'm a little flustered, hold on. All the money that's raised by pledges to you goes to the Children's Miracle Network. And if you know anybody that's ever suffered or from childhood cancers, you probably know how great these Children's Miracle Networks hospitals are. They take care of these kids. They do amazing things for these kids. They try to make them happy and comfortable, and all that money goes to them. The hospital that we support, my team, is Sanford Sanford Children's Hospital in Fargo, North Dakota, and It's an amazing thing. If you can take part in this, or just find somebody who's participating and make a donation, it's a beautiful thing.
Okay, how do you do that? There's a website or?
Yep. If you go to Fossey Racing, my post should be up there with a link to the Extra Life site, and it's actually my personal page. It has links to join my team, or start your own team, or donate. Whatever you want to do. If you can do it, it's great. If you can't, just send a well wish to the kids that are suffering from this terrible illness.
Nice. Okay. Good job, Lance.
Lance,
people out.
for being personally stricken from this type of thing. I'd like to thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I've done it the last 3 years, and I'll continue to do it as long as they do it. I'm kind of an introverted guy, and this is the one thing I can do to kind of give back to society and feel like my life is worth something. So I enjoy doing it. It makes me feel good and warm inside.
Good work. All right, let's move on. We're running out of time, so we're going to skip the listener feedback letter we got. We're going to do that next time. I'll pick up the next one here. Follow up on last time, Sam Schmidt, who was an IndyCar driver we talked about, who got paralyzed and was using iRacing to help develop a way to drive a real car, actually got a driver's license, a real driver's license from a Department of Motor Vehicles. And he's a paraplegic. But with this new system developed by Aero, using iRacing as a test bed, they've built a system where he can get a driver's license. So that's cool. So just thought we'd follow up with that. The other item was Commodore's Garage. I stumbled across this. If you go to iRacing.com and look at their blog post, you'll find Commodore's Garage, and they're actually on number 8. So there's been a series of articles put out, and it talks about basically how to set up one of these oval cars, and road cars. But the number 8 blog post talks about all kinds of stuff related to springs and how they work, and bump stops and coil binding and all this sway bars and how to use this stuff and how does it affect each other and how to do setups. And I started reading through this and I'm like, wow, there's some great information here. So I definitely wanted to mention it. So search for that, Commodore's Garage. Pretty cool stuff. We're going to skip the letter, and then the next one I'll pick up as well. Otto Zabini from iRacing announced Season 4 contest, and the first one is the Z1 Dashboard Suite. And if you place their logo on your car and run 10 official races in Season 4, you will be automatically entered to win the software with 5 full years of updates. And then Kyle, they had another one, right?
Yeah, the virtual racing school. They place the virtual racing school logo on your car, and the same thing, run 10 official races in Season 4, and you'll automatically be entered to win $100 worth of iRacing credits and $200 worth of virtual racing school credits.
Whoa, that's pretty good. I don't know if they've offered cash before like that. Well, it's not cash, but credits.
Not that I can recall.
Right. Usually you get a prize, but not credits. That's kind of cool. All right, Lance, final topic.
Now we've got an issue that's been reported with the in-game spotter. I know Carlos, I believe, was affected by this during the Petit Le Mans, where the spotter just stopped spotting. And iRacing is apparently looking into it, according to a couple of these posts on the forums. They're asking for feedback on what you may have changed, or what the update may have changed that's causing this to happen.
Yeah, David Tucker, he said it always seems to be tied to the length of the session. So I had told David about Carlo's experience that he was on for several hours there on the Petite Le Mans, and I don't think Carlos knew when the spotter went away, but it definitely went away.
Yeah, see, I ducked in and out of the session throughout the day, and I never had an issue that I know about.
Yeah, so anyway, ongoing issue. There's a lot of there's a lot of people reporting the same thing, so I don't know if that's particularly what caused it. All right, that's our final topic, so hopefully they'll get that fixed. Final thing I have before we get into final thoughts is we're still recruiting over here at Team Tifosi. We haven't heard from anybody. If you think you're good enough to be on our team, let me know. Let's go into final thoughts. Jose.
Nothing really. I'm glad we're done with New Hampshire. I'm really not looking forward to Dover, but I'm hoping for the best. Good luck to everybody in Dover.
All right, Kyle Fleischman.
I am looking forward to Dover. I had a great runs there this spring. Can't wait to go back.
All right, Lance Gentles.
Oh, looking forward to trying the headset at Dover. See if it helps any. Also, just a reminder about Extra Life. If you can, just do a quick Google search on Extra Life. If you can donate, please do so. If you can't, like I said, just spare a well wish for the kids that are having issues.
Very good. And Chris Grandel, thanks for hanging out with us today. Any final thoughts?
Hey, absolutely. Thanks, guys, for having me on. I really appreciate it. And Lance, we'll be sure to get the word out about Extra Life for you to throw that on our website and see if we can get some of our teammates donating to. Certainly another great cause. Really appreciate you guys having me on. Love the podcast. Always lots of great information, and look forward to listening next week.
Cool. And you're welcome anytime. Thanks for coming, Chris. Carlos Fonseca, final thoughts.
I don't got them.
Okay, and I'll finish off with, hey, we want to hear from our listeners. Like I mentioned, we got a nice letter from somebody with some topic ideas, and we're actually going to use that on one of the shows. So, hey, I want more, though. I need more than one. So you guys need to contact us. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on everything you can think of out there. Find us. So, I'm not on Snapchat, okay? So don't Snapchat us, but you can get us on Facebook real easy. So hit us up. With that, we'll see you later.
Hey, Chris, I've got a link I can throw down.
That is all.